Okay.
Isn't that insane?
What is that?
It's a gimbal.
No, I know it's a, but this is.
Here we go.
Okay.
We are rolling.
You can tell when guitar players have been to the NAMM show a bunch of times because they're geeking out over the camera equipment.
Glazing, guys, start to glaze. Right, yeah, right. Forget about the guitar. What's that thing? I want to know.
Obviously, I don't have to tell you that we're here with Vernon and Reid.
Hey.
Talking about cameras and guitars.
Cameras, guitars.
Guitars are sort of a camera. It's an eye into a lot of different things.
Yeah, totally, totally. Well, you know, guitar is one of those things. It's like it sits there in your room. It's on the wall. It's on the stand, and it's up to us to pick it up and figure out who we are with this thing. And whatever you plug it into, you plug it into an amp, you plug it into pedals. Now you can plug it into your iPad. You can plug it into your computer.
Right.
But it's about the feeling that you get. And it's a feedback loop. Like if you get there's a whole thing about like you can play great on a shitty guitar. It's not really true. You can play, you know, but it's a feedback loop. If the guitar is working for you, then it inspires instantaneously. It's like an instant thing. So things you wouldn't think to play, if you're playing a guitar that's really for you.
And that doesn't necessarily mean set up really easy to play with really light strings. It can just be there's that connection that you
There's a connection. There's a feeling of it in your hands that makes you go, it's an inspiring thing. And of course, the strings have a part to play, the pickups have a part to play, the cable everything has a part to play.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the pickups are, like a particular pick with that pickup, with those strings going into that amp is the thing. The same instrument plugged into a different amp is a different situation. And so, we adapt. It's like when you have to roll up and they have an amp that's like a higher company amp and it's been abused horribly. Well, you have a little time and you find that sweet spot. The mid-range is just right, just enough bite, enough bottom, and then off you go.
And then you add a human to that equation who might be tired or jacked up on coffee. The altitude could be higher than you're used to or lower. Coffee.
Jacked up on
coffee. Or whatever they are.
Yeah.
And so how do you account for that? I mean, in all of your projects that I've seen you involved in, you have room to express whatever those things are in it. It's not like you're playing the same thing every night.
Well, it's a process of getting out of the way. If you can get out of the way. I mean, I could tell everybody's got their thing, their issues. And for me, it's if I start to think too much about the thing or who I'm supposed to be, then I'm in the way of the thing. If I let the music speak, if I let the music, whatever the music is, if I'm available to be in the music and let the music use me to express it, then I feel much better.
Do you have to think through your rig still? Because it seems like it's ever evolving and it's epic. It's a grand rig.
Here's the thing. When I hit that first chord, when I hook it all up, and I hear that first sound, it's like a miracle. It's like, I can't believe it. It's like,
it works.
It's working. I'm so happy when it actually, when I take the amp off standby, and there's an actual sound, and it's not a humming monstrosity. And I'm like, oh my God. This is, and I'm halfway to having a great show.
It's gonna be okay.
It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
Is there a thing that you haven't been able to do on guitar yet, or that you envision that you're?
Lots of things.
I don't just mean like technically, but is there a way to change the playing interface, or is there a thing that you picture in your mind that you're not able to access yet?
Well, there's things. I mean, part of it is like, just plugging this into that. Like, okay, like it's sort of like there's a way that for me it's kind of like, okay, if I think of it a certain way, there's a certain way I'll set up the sequence of effects, and to even break out of that, or to say, you know what, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use something else, a different delay or a different, and just kind of go wherever that's going. And that's it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity. Like you have a complicated rig, or to have it with a very simple, a couple of pedals that actually do the thing you want them to do. Right. Like the whole thing with multi-effects now. Multi-effects have evolved tremendously. They used to be kind of maybe so, maybe no. But now, so many things now, the technology is advanced to a place where it's really about what you want to hear. It really is kind of about that. People argue about analog point-to-point wiring, and they argue against modeling, whatever. But the thing that's happened is that we're entering a kind of convergence where the lines have become very, very blurred. And it comes down to who you actually are, what you want to say, having something to say that's yours, and making sure that the things you have don't get in the way of whatever it is you have to say. There has to be something that motivates. To me, that motivates. That's how the sound comes from in here out.
If you have Abbey Road on here and you can make any sound in the world, then it becomes about, well, how good is your imagination? Now, can you write those songs? Can you?
Well, yeah. Well, context is everything.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you separate the player from the context. Like, you can't separate Eddie Van Halen from the Van Halen band. I mean, you can, but they created a fantastic context for the thing that he did. Zappa created an incredibly dense context for his playing, which is kind of like his guitar. Zappa's playing is like very avant-garde. It's very kind of very influenced by the blues, but very sideways. But he created Inca Roads and all these amazing things as a context, not just for his playing, but a lot of it was about for his compositions. Jimi Hendrix created a context for what he did, and that's the thing. Like, you can play Jimi Hendrix's notes, but you don't have his life. Like, everybody, you have to live your life, and I think a lot of us spend a lot of time trying to live other people's lives, and it's really not about that. It's like, rightly or wrongly, you know, I think it's safe to kind of go, I'm going to play exactly like fill in the blank. It's very safe. Because the thing is, if you play exactly like that person,
then it's like a spelling bee. Well, you spelled that correctly. You did those things in the right order.
But you know what? If you have an influence, like take Stevie Ray Vaughan. Stevie Ray Vaughan, you could obviously hear Albert King, and you obviously hear Jimi Hendrix, but more than that, you hear Stevie Ray Vaughan. Stevie Ray Vaughan transcended the influence of Jimi Hendrix. It's right there. He has his own sound. That's a remarkable thing. When you can hear the influence, and it doesn't matter. He goes way past the influence, and you know, that's a goal. So it's not that you shouldn't be influenced by great players, but at the end of the day, or the beginning of the morning, you have to figure out who you are. And I think a lot of people are afraid, you know, because we have a horrible culture of snark, putting people down, the ugly YouTube comments, whatever. People put each other down. You suck, you suck, you suck. Well, the only way you're going to get good, you have to suck. Right. You kind of, the idea that you're going to, a bolt is going to come down from the head of Zeus, and you're going to be all of that. It's a lot of sacrifice. It's a lot of pain. It's a lot of boredom. And and
Got to play through the suck.
You got to play through the suck, and that's how you get to the other side. You have to.
And I find you become this hybrid of all the people who you loved, but the people always rip off okay, I'm going to do a Stevie Ray, so I'll do the neck pickup and I'll pick real hard. Well, what about the Hendrixy chordal stuff that he does, or rip off Van Halen because I'm tapping, but you don't swing the rhythm like he does. You know,
you have to find your own. You have to have your own. Ultimately, all the great players, whoever you want to name, from Zakk Wylde to Charlie Christian, they ultimately all had to make their own thing. Charlie Christian died at 23. Jimi Hendrix died at 27. Think about that. You know, Otis Redding was like 25. Different thing, but it's all about, like Robert Fripp. He did this. I was with Adrian Belew. We played a bunch of us played a tribute to David Bowie. And David Bowie had a fantastic ear for guitar players. Think about all the great guitar players that played with David Bowie. You know what I mean? It's incredible. It's incredible. Earl Slick, Ronson, Carlos Alomar, Reeves Gabrel. I mean, the list of phenomenal. He had an ear for it, you know, and he knew what it was working for him. And so it was kind of great to be in the same project with Adrian Belew. Adrian Belew is phenomenal. I mean, he's been a part of Zappa's music, the Talking Heads music, and King Crimson's music, and his own groups. You know, and such a lovely, great embodiment of personality of being. He's enthusiastic. He still cares about it. He's not burnt out. He's in the fight, and that's the thing. You know, like you know, you can. There are players that are great that are not very happy. You know, and the fact that he has joy in what he does is incredibly inspiring to me. You know, so anyway, blah blah blah. Woof, woof,
describing yourself as much as Adrian Belew.
I have my moments. Brother. No worries.
Thank you,
no
Vernon.
worries.
Love it. Thank you.
All right, now this thing.
Hey, yeah, fuck all that. Talk to me about this.